I'm sitting on the High Knob Fire Tower, which there's no better example of the history of the mountains and the forest here. This was reconstructed by the Forest Service some years ago as a historical site, but it marks a place where one of the earliest fire towers that the Forest Service ever put up stood. In the earliest days, this would be in the 19-teens, 1920s, the fire towers were basically wooden structures and often had guy wires out to the nearest trees to hold them up. And those Forest Service rangers, they were a hardy bunch back then, climbing up into those old rickety fire towers and keeping watch all day long for fires. In fact, arson and wildfire, that was really the biggest mission of the Forest Service in the olden days, and really it was almost a religious mission because fires were so destructive. The logging that went through this area all along Shenandoah Mountain between 1880 and 1930 was highly destructive, and they used steam-powered equipment, so the sparks would fly everywhere. And then, of course, there was so much slash, the tops and the branches of the trees left behind, that there was a lot of fuel. And the fires were unbelievable, just unbelievable. Tan barking was also a big industry at the time, and if you look around here, you'll see the chestnut oaks, which were highly preferred. Many of them are multiple sprouts, chestnut oak being one of the best sprouting hardwoods around, and they were highly favored for tan bark. So they were cut, the bark was stripped off in the early spring, and generally the trees were left lying. So that was a huge source of fuel, as well as the lumbering. I've been a birder for many, many years, many decades, and I know that Shenandoah Mountain is a haven for many unusual and rare species. I've seen rose-breasted grosbeaks nest on Shenandoah Mountain. This past winter at my house on Cross Mountain, just a little bit north of here, sort of a foothill to Shenandoah Mountain, I had red crossbills come to my feeder. I know they nest up here. They must have come down for a little food early in the spring. It's a huge migratory pathway, 60 miles long. It harbors so much biological diversity. It's ecologically so valuable. In addition to birds, I really am quite enamored of salamanders with those elegant toes and fingers and that long tail that holds so many nutrients. The cow-knob salamander lives on Shenandoah Mountains, only place in the world that those salamanders live, and there are many other salamanders that live on the mountain here. Salamanders are a crucial part of the food chain, but of course few people really appreciate them because they're down buried in the forest duff. They live under rocks. They're not very popular, but really on closer inspection they're quite beautiful and very, very valuable ecosystems.
It's like being on top of the world.
The High Knob Fire Tower is a great symbol of all the assaults that have been made on Shenandoah Mountain in the past, from the destructive logging to the fires to the road building. And yet the mountain is rugged enough and has enough high, steep places that people can't reach very well that there are patches of old growth. And those patches are remnants. Those are our history. Those are what we need to protect and let them spread out and become contiguous and help foster healthier forests down below.